Dr. Peter Glidden, your steadfast advocate for health. Thanks for tuning in and turning on. 844-374-5433. Give that number a call to speak to me live. 844-374-5433. Sad news yesterday, Glen Frey. Glen Frey, the Eagles guitarist, dead at 67 from pneumonia. Pneumonia at 67 years of age. You think Glen Frey had enough money to seek the best medical care that was available in the Western Hemisphere? I'm going to guess that he did. Glen Frey being treated for rheumatoid arthritis and colitis while under the watchful care, tutelage of the MDs. Glen Frey's condition went from bad to worse. He developed pneumonia and he died at 67 years of age, which, as far as I'm concerned, is unacceptable. Now, I have no idea what drugs Mr. Frey was taking for his rheumatoid arthritis and his colitis, but I'm going to guess that Methotrexate was one of them, perhaps Enbrel. I don't know. What I do know is that both of those drugs, Methotrexate specifically, lowers your immune system. Here are some of the side effects of Methotrexate. Remember, he also had colitis. Bleeding of the stomach or intestines, severe. Decreased blood platelets, severe. That means your body can't clot appropriately. Your blood can't clot appropriately. Decreased white blood cell count, severe. This means that your immune system is extremely weak. Holes in the intestine, severe. Infections caused by bacteria, severe. These drugs lower your immune system, create multiple side effects, which then the poor rheumatoid arthritis patient has to deal with. So I'm going to guess that Mr. Frey was admitted to the hospital for colitis or for a side effect of the drugs that he was taking, and he developed a pneumonia when he was in the hospital. I don't know this to be sure. I have no idea. I'm speculating based on how I know medical doctors work, what their standard operating procedures are, and what the side effects of the drugs are. It's just a logical progression of thought. So I'm going to assume that because of the treatments that they gave him for the rheumatoid arthritis and the colitis, that he developed pneumonia. And then his immune system was so weak because of the side effect of the drugs that he died. Another death while he was under the care of the MDs. Now, whether the pneumonia was a direct or an indirect result of the drugs that he was on, whether the pneumonia was a direct or an indirect result of the hospitalization that he had, because, you know, a lot of pneumonias are required in the hospital, right? That's where you get pneumonia, in the hospital. How many people do you know have died from pneumonia? 60,000 seniors die a year from pneumonia. 60,000 seniors die a year. The overwhelming majority of people who die from pneumonia are seniors, people with compromised immune systems. Why do they have compromised immune systems? Because they've gone their entire life under the care of the MD. And the medical doctor is not trained to cure disease. The medical doctor is not trained to strengthen the body. The medical doctor is trained to manage symptoms with drugs, period. Now, sometimes it's appropriate to manage symptoms with drugs. Sometimes it's entirely appropriate to do that. But it is not at all entirely appropriate to do that all of the time. It is not at all appropriate to do that all of the time. And why does nobody ask the question again? Why does nobody ask the question, why in the 21st century, after billions of dollars of research, do the MDs have no earthly idea what causes colitis? Why, after $1 billion of research, do the MDs have no earthly idea what causes rheumatoid arthritis? And why, in the 21st century, are people still dying from pneumonia? Nobody asks these questions. What you read about is, oh, Mr. Frey put up a valiant fight. He struggled and he fought. You never hear the headline, well, Mr. Frey, another victim of mediocre, MD-directed, Machiavellian, monopolistic, profit-driven medicine. You never hear that. You never hear that. So the medical doctors have no earthly idea what causes rheumatoid arthritis, and their treatment strategy is to give drugs which suppress the immune system, and damn the torpedoes. Who cares what the side effects are going to be? At least we give you a couple of pain-free months. Well, I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure what the quality of Mr. Frey's life was like, but I can tell you this. When you manage symptoms with whatever it is that you're managing symptoms with, you manage a symptom with an herb, you manage a symptom with a vitamin, it's virtually impossible to do that. If you manage a symptom with surgery, if you manage a symptom with drug, it's always going to come back. If you paint over the mold in the basement without getting to the root cause of what caused the mold to happen in the first place, the mold is going to come back. The wall is going to fall down. It's only a matter of time. And this is what happens to patients under the care of the MD. And so instead of reading the headline, another failure of conventional medicine, you hear Glen Frey had a valiant struggle. Well, Glen Frey had incompetent medical doctors, or, maybe to the point they were very competent at what they did. Experts in their field, but my point here is that it is a lost cause. The medical treatments that the MDs are trained in are insufficient to the cause, as is evidenced by Mr. Frey's life and death. They don't know what to do about these illnesses. And so even if I'm wrong and his pneumonia had nothing at all to do with the drugs that he was taking and the hospitalizations that he had, even if it had nothing to do with that, right? He was visited by his neighbor who had the flu. He was visited by, the Boy Scouts who came collecting money, and one of the kids sneezed in his face, and he caught a bacterial infection. It went into his lungs, and that's how he got pneumonia. Even it had nothing to do with anything having to do with the drugs or the hospitalizations that he had, which I'm assuming that it did. But even if it had nothing to do with that, the fact still remains that he died while he was under the MD's care. Period. He died. And we're all supposed to collectively be okay with this. Again, this is the reporting of this of Mr. Frey's illness and struggle and death is another representation of how deeply down the rabbit hole we have gone here in our utter abject allegiance to all things MD. And it is the only industry that can consistently fail us, and we write them another check. Right? It's the only industry that can do this. If you went out to, had a date night with your wife, date night with your girlfriend, with your boyfriend, with your husband. You went to a good restaurant, you paid a couple $100 for a meal, and you got food poisoning, you would take action, right? You would not let that pass. If you spent $30,000 on a brand new automobile, and a week after you drove it, the transmission dropped out, brand new, you would pitch a fit, you would take it back. If you paid $20,000 to have a new roof put on your house, and the first time it rained it leaked, you would pitch a fit, you'd sue somebody, and you would have it fixed. You would take exception to these things. If your children were taught in your private school by a particular teacher, and that particular teacher was abusing the children, you would pitch a fit, and you would take exception to that. You would do something about that. But when the medical doctors fail us, when the medical doctors harm us, when the medical doctors kill us, literally, we give them a pass and we write another check for insurance premiums, medical insurance premiums, to give us access to this kind of care. Now, I'm assuming that Mr. Frey had enough money to be able to get a private wing in the hospital, to be able to have round-the-clock medical care, to have private medical care of disputedly the best medical minds that Western medicine has to offer, and look what happened to him. Same thing happened to Steve Jobs. Same thing happened to Robin Williams. Same thing happens to everybody. Now, if I were you, I would be afraid, because I'm assuming Mr. Frey was a multimillionaire and money was not an issue with him. and look at what happened to him. So if he had the best medical care that money could buy, arguably he did, and he suffered and died, what chance do you think you have? Little to none. And this is because I'm not intimating that the medical doctors are sadistic. I'm not intimating that the medical doctors are money-grubbing sociopaths. I'm simply stating the fact that conventional medicine does not know what causes. Conventional medicine does not know how to cure chronic disease. They do not. And while we are under their care, we go from the frying pan into the fire, and then we die. And then when we die because of their failures, nobody criticizes them. They're the sacred cow. You can't criticize the sacred cow, can't kill the sacred cow, can't eat the sacred cow. There's only a handful of us that are standing up in the public stage and saying, look, this is ridiculous. Naturopathic physicians treat colitis successfully all the time. Naturopathic physicians treat psoriatic arthritis, traumatic arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis all of the time successfully, all of the time. And yet we're not given the spotlight. We're not given the stage. And when people die because of medical failures, we are so socialized to believe that healing is a sophisticated process, and that the MDs, if the MDs can't figure it out, nobody can. Instead of having, riots and marches and say, why are the MDs in power? Why are we still giving money to these people? Let's license the naturopaths. Let's license the homeopaths. Let's license the acupuncturists. Let's license the Ayurveds. Let's license the holistic guys. Give them a shot. Why aren't we marching for that? Because we don't know any better. Another one bites the dust, ladies and gentlemen. It's another Methotrexate sunrise. And I just don't know what I'm going to do. 844-374-5433. Give me a shout. Dr. Peter Glidden here. Thanks so much for clicking on the link. I appreciate your trust and your curiosity. Last year in the United States, we spent over $30 billion on nutritional supplements, and everybody's still sick. When it comes to nutritional supplements, the recipe is everything. All wine is made from grapes, but there's a great deal of difference from bottle to bottle, depending on too many variables to count. It's the same with nutritional supplements. If you need to spend hard-earned money on nutritional supplements, which you do, because medical insurance doesn't pay for it. Did you ever wonder why? Well, that's the subject for an entirely different conversation. But in point of fact, our position is, in order for the body to work the way that God and nature intended it, there are 90 essential nutrients that need to be imported into it on a daily basis. These 90 essential nutrients are not all present in the food supply. You must supplement. It's mandatory. You must give your body the raw materials it needs every day to optimize its structure and function. You must give your body a fighting chance. So you need nutritional supplements. Well, which nutritional supplements should you take? That's the million-dollar question. I've been doing naturopathic medicine, practicing naturopathic medical therapeutics in clinical settings for over a quarter of a century now. And as God is my witness, I am here to tell you that the nutritional supplements which produce the most consistent, effective results are those developed and delivered by Youngevity. If you have finally snapped out of it and seen the light, if you are finally convinced that medical nutrition is what your body has been missing your entire life, and if you're ready to take a walk through the undiscovered country of science-based, clinically verified medical nutrition, then you need to try Youngevity's nutritional supplements, because they produce the most consistent results of anything I've ever seen. And I've seen a lot in over a quarter of a century of primary care naturopathic medicine. Fill out the form on this page, ladies and gentlemen. Click the submit button, and a Youngevity representative whom I know and trust will be in touch with you to show you what to do to support and promote your body's ability to optimize its structure and function. Thanks for your time. Thanks for your trust. I am your steadfast advocate for health, Dr. Peter Glidden. Live long and prosper. I'll see you around campus. It's another methotrexate sunrise, and this old body still feels the same. Lots of pain. I did everything they told me. Took all of their drugs and surgeries. I'm on my knees. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. Doc, you should have been a singer. I don't know. It's a sad day today, ladies and gentlemen, not only because, another one of our musical legends, right, passed. And at 67, we have the genetic potential to live to be 120. He didn't even make it to the statistical mean, which in the United States is 84, I think, right around there. He didn't even get close to that because he was under the care of the MDs. And nobody holds their feet to the fire. Nobody questions their therapeutics. Nobody questions what they do. Nobody questions how they do it. And interestingly enough, they don't question it either. Because I have to tell you something, the meat grinder of medical education is such that when you come through the gates and you have your license to practice allopathic medicine, when you finally have the MD after your name, you have become brainwashed into believing that if they didn't teach it to you in medical school, it's just not valid. And that the only way is the pharmaceutical and the surgical way. That is the only way. All other ways are substandard quackery. This is the standard of care that you have to raise yourself to. And even when it fails, even when it harms, even when it kills, you just do it again to another patient because it's the only thing you know. It's the only thing you were taught. And you do not have the intellectual ability to question what you were taught. Your medical doctor is arguably an intellectual coward because they see their treatments fail. They're not blind. They see their treatments fail. They see their treatments harm. They see their treatments bankrupt. And do they question it? No. They just continue to roll it out over and over and over and over and over, even though Einstein said insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. Well, the hubris of the medical doctor is so legendary, their arrogance is so great that it is beyond their ability to comprehend. To even consider the notion that their ideation, their understanding of disease, how it generates and what to do is completely, utterly, and totally wrong. They cannot go there. They will not go there. And when a handful of them do go there, they still don't get it. One of the fastest growing trends in MD-directed medicine now is this ridiculous notion of integrative medicine, right? Integrative medicine, where the MDs now are learning how to use vitamins. The MDs are now learning how to use herbs, but they don't use the vitamins and the herbs holistically. They don't use the vitamins and the herbs naturopathically because the tiger never changes his stripes. They use the vitamins, they use the herbs, they use the quote-unquote natural therapeutics the same way that they use the drugs to upregulate the metabolism of the body, or in the worst-case scenario, to undo the negative side effects of their pharmaceutical treatments. So these people, medical doctors who are now leaning towards this hybridization, green allopathic integrative medicine, are like blue dog Democrats. And they are the worst of the worst. I was living in Massachusetts for a long time, which is where I grew up. I had a practice there when I first graduated medical school. And there was a medical doctor in town, a female, and she advertised that she practiced holistic medicine. And her idea of holistic medicine was that she talked to her patients for 20 minutes before she gave them conventional medical treatment, simply by having a relationship with the patient, talking to the patient, explaining to the patient what she was doing. That's holistic. No, it's not. It's nonsense. There are hospitals, private hospitals around the country now springing up saying that they espouse the holistic way of treating, and what they mean is that they'll have an MD eye specialist, an MD ear specialist, an MD throat specialist, an MD heart specialist, an MD lung specialist, an MD skin specialist, an MD bladder specialist, an MD colon specialist, all working in the same hospital, and you have access to all of them. That's not holistic medicine. That's MD A, MD B, or MD C, and it completely, utterly, totally misses the point. Holistic medicine is a separate and distinct discipline. It is a separate and distinct philosophy of treatment. And you're either practicing holistic medicine or you're not. You're either a Democrat or a Republican. You're either a communist or a socialist. I don't care. Draw a line in the sand. Stand up for what you are doing. And for goodness sakes, ladies and gentlemen, fire your medical doctor now.
If you are sick and tired of feeling sick and tired, if you are finally finished with expensive and ineffective MD treatments, and if you are frustrated with not knowing which nutritional supplements to take, you have come to exactly the right place. We are here to help. Log into eiffelhealth.com, click the contact button, and someone who has been working with Dr. Glidden will contact you and show you exactly what to do to recover your health. Go to eiffelhealth.com. That's eiffelhealth.com and click the contact button now.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Peter Glidden, your steadfast advocate for health. Let's go to the phones and talk to Herb in Maryland. Hey, Herb, thanks for the call. You are live.
Thank you, Dr. Peter Glidden. This is my problem. I have been getting more headaches, and I've had to take more headache pills, including Percocet. And
yikes.
I believe that as a 77-year-old male, 180 pounds, 5'10", I deserve better than bupropion, which I think has got some side effects. And
have they given you a diagnosis, Herb? Have they said it's migraine headaches, it's cluster headaches, have they told you it's tension headaches, or does nobody know?
Well, they know that since I had a head temple arthritis in March of 2009, it caused me to go blind in my right eye almost totally, and that's where the headaches come half of the time. But now I'm raised my prednisone back up, as the doctor suggested, to 15 milligrams. I normally have it down at 10.
Has the vision come back in the right eye, or is it still gone?
No, it's gone forever.
Okay.
They think.
Well, they think, right? All right. So how much do you weigh again? I'm sorry?
180.
Okay, great. All right. So have you been doing any of the longevity nutritional supplements so far?
I have.
Okay, tell me what you...
BTT2.
Okay.
I'm doing the powder and the pills.
Yep.
I'm doing about 2,000 milligrams of fish oil, essential fatty acids, and I'm doing somebody else's trace minerals, but I think I need to get back on the plant-derived minerals.
Okay, and what about the liquid calcium? That's probably the most important thing here for you.
I'm taking somebody else's calcium.
Okay, here's what I want to tell you about that, okay? And look, I don't make any money from the sale of the supplements, right? You got to get that. I don't advocate people take longevity supplements because there's a profit motive in it for me. There's not. I used to make money from it, but I don't anymore, and I don't anymore I'd love to. Honestly, I would love to make money from longevity supplements, but it's not legally appropriate for me to do that given my stature on the radio and as far as the FTC is concerned. So I don't make any money from it, and that's the way that it is. So the thing about supplements is it's not what you swallow, it's what you absorb. And not all bottles of wine are created equally. They're all made from grapes. Not all chicken soup recipes or bowls of chicken soup are the same, even though, they all have chicken and water in it, right? It's the recipe makes the difference. The ingredients makes the difference. Well, that's the same with nutritional supplements. Now, as a naturopathic physician, I have access to nutritional supplements made by companies that you can't get as a layperson. You can only get this stuff if you're a doctor. I used to work for a company that did that, nutraceuticals, physician only, nutraceuticals. Mm-hmm. I would represent their company at medical conferences, right? So I've been around the block when it comes to nutritional supplementation in clinical settings. And I'm here to tell you that Youngevity's nutritional supplements produce more consistent results than any nutritional supplements I've seen, even the ones that you can only get if you're a physician. There's only a handful of nutritional supplements made by other companies that I recommend, which are better than Youngevity's, colloidal silver being the first. The colloidal silver that I recommend is called Sovereign Silver, over-the-counter Sovereign Silver. And if you can get it, there's another type of silver made by the same company called Argentin 23. Hands down, it's the best colloidal silver in the world right now, as far as I'm concerned. But having said that, it's not what you swallow, it's what you absorb. And for most people with calcium, for instance, to get the recommended daily amount of calcium into your body, you'd need to take about 30 to 40 of the calcium pills a day, and usually there's 60 in the bottle. So it's important what you take. So I would counsel you here to trust me and lean on my advice here for 90 days. Again, do it my way for 90 days and see whether you get traction here, because it does make a difference. And so at your body weight, here's what I would do every month for the next 3 months, Herb. I would do 2 Healthy Body Start Pack 2.0 liquid. The product is called Healthy Body Start Pack 2.0 liquid. Right? I would do 2 of those a month. I would do 2 bottles of plant-derived minerals from Youngevity, 2 bottles of plant-derived minerals from Youngevity, and to top it off, 1 extra bottle of Beyond Osteo FX liquid calcium, 1 extra bottle of Beyond Osteo FX liquid calcium. That means you're going to have 3 bottles of liquid calcium a month. And here's what I'd like you to do. I'd like you to take 2 ounces of the liquid calcium in a little bit of orange juice every night immediately before bed. 2 ounces of the liquid calcium in a little bit of orange juice every night immediately before bed. I'd like you to take 1 ounce of the liquid calcium in the morning when you wake up in a little bit of orange juice. That's 3 ounces a day. Beyond Tangy Tangerine, I'd like you please to put 2 scoops into about 18 ounces of water. 2 scoops into 18 ounces of water, more or less. Add to that 1 ounce of the plant-derived minerals. 1 ounce of the plant-derived minerals, about 18 ounces of water, 2 scoops of the Beyond Tangy Tangerine. Take a couple of hours to drink that down. Mix it up, put it in a bottle, throw some ice in it, throw some tequila in it, I don't care. Put some juice in it if you want to make it taste differently. And I want you to take about 2 hours to drink that sucker down in the morning. And then I want you to repeat that in the afternoon to 2 hours again in the afternoon. I want you to finish both of those liquids by sunset. Finish both of those liquids by sunset. The last thing in your program here would be the fish oil capsules. And Youngevity's fish oils are different than other companies' fish oils because Youngevity encapsulates their fish oil under a nitrogen blanket, which means if any air gets into the little gel cap, it's nitrogen, not oxygen, so the oil in the capsule does not oxidize. This is a unique distinction. There are more and more companies are starting to do that. I know that Youngevity does it, and that's why I recommend it. So if you get the healthy pack, you're going to get 2 bottles of fish oil. That's 6 a day. I'd like you to take 6 a day, either 3 twice a day with meals or 2 3 times a day with meals, whatever works best for you. That's all that I would do for the first 90 days, and I would eliminate, of course, the 12 bad foods. And I would do a Google search for homeopathic medicine. Find some place where you can find this homeopathic medicine. There's a store in Chicago called Merz Apothecary. Their website, and I don't have any financial relationship with them, is called smallflower.com. Smallflower.com. Order 1 vial of homeopathic sanguinaria. That's S like Sam, A like Apple, N like Nancy, G like golf, U like uniform, I like India, SANGUI, N like Nancy, A like Alpha, R like Roger, I like India, A like Alpha, SANGUINARIA, sanguinaria. canadensis, just like the country, Canada, and then E-N-S-I-S, canadensis, C-A-N-A-D-E-N-S-I-S, homeopathic, Sanguinaria canadensis in the 200C strength. And the next time you get a headache, I'd like you please to take, and now, the homeopathic is going to come in a little tube about the size of your pinky finger, and in that tube is going to be about 100 little white medicated pellets, little tiny, it looks like ball bearings, right? And they're white, medicated pellets. My recommendation for this type of a headache as an experiment is take 2 of those pellets orally every hour. 2 of those pellets orally every hour when you get a headache, and see what that treatment does. If you find that it eliminates the pain, when the pain starts to subside, you stop taking the homeopathic. You do not continue to take it. When the homeopathic flips the switch and the pain starts to get better, you stop it. If a few hours later or a few days later the headache comes back, you start it up again. But taking a homeopathic medicine is like jump-starting a battery in a car. As soon as the engine kicks over, you remove the cables and stop giving the engine juice. We take the supplements all the time, but we only take the homeopathic until it kicks in, and then we stop, and that's an important distinction. Now, this homeopathic is either going to help or it's not going to help. It's not going to do anything. It's not going to do anything harmful. It's either going to work or it's not going to work. And if it works, it's going to afford you a remarkable amount of relief, because homeopathic medicines eliminate headaches by attempting to cure the headache rather than merely suppressing the pain, which is what the pain medications do. So I would give that treatment a run, and call me back, please, Herb, after you've done, a couple of days worth or a couple of doses of the homeopathic Sanguinaria, and tell me whether or not it worked with the headache. If it did not work with the headache, then there's a couple of other tricks I have up my sleeve that we can throw at the headaches acutely while we're waiting for the background medical nutrition to roll forward in our behavior. Does all that make sense, Herb?
Yes. At that time, then, we could talk about how to try to get off of the Wellbutrin.
Yeah, so what happens with that is, the recommendation there is we do the medical nutrition full bore 100% for 90 days. We see what happens, we see how we feel, and then at that moment in time, after you've been nutrified for 90 days, but on the diet for 90 days, and you're starting to get traction, then we can consider coming off of the meds. But we have to nutrify first, and then we take a walk down that road. And that's a much better, kind of prudent, easier way to do it, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it all makes sense. We just have to take one step at a time. But the first thing that we're looking for, right, is in 90 days is a noticeable, measurable, positive change somewhere in your body mind. It has to be remarkable. It has to be measurable. It has to be noticeable inside of 90 days. And hopefully it will be with the, the manifestation of this headache pain. So give that a run, Herb, and give me a call back in a couple weeks after you've tried the homeopathic, and give me a report. I will look forward to it. See, this is a perfect example of what I was talking about at the beginning of the show. I mean, Herb's an upstanding guy, sounds like an upstanding guy, sounds like, a normal human being. And I don't know how old he is. I'm assuming he's over 65. And he's been suffering with chronic pain while he's been under the care of the MDs. He's been writing medical insurance premium checks his entire adult life, I'm assuming. And when he finally needs the medical doctors, they give him therapeutics that don't work. They're ineffective. They're transitory at best. And this is what passes for the best medicine that money can buy. The only reason that I'm on this rant every day is because we don't have a free medical market. I mean, if the naturopaths were able to practice in all 50 states, if there were just as many naturopathic medical schools as conventional medical schools, I'd be okay. But we do not have a free market. And that's a problem. Steadfast advocate for health. It looks like Glen Frey is not alone in the death department. Brenda from Texas is calling back to report something. Hey, Brenda, thanks for the phone call. You are live.
Hi, Dr. Wally. It's been good to talk to you again.
Okay, thanks so much for calling, Brenda. How can I help?
Okay, about 4 months or so ago, I first called you and told you we had started taking longevity products and all because I'd been diagnosed with celiac disease over a year ago and had always had, stomach bowel issues for my whole life. And I, was trying to do the tangy tangerine, the regular regimen of that and the minerals and stuff, but it was, causing diarrhea issues and all. So he told me to back off and put me on the regimen of cherry berry and the stomach enzyme, the ultimate enzymes, which I take every meal and all that. Those are wonderful, and because I have no gallbladder also, and then also the Flora FX. Took that at night, and the EFA took those, and so I did that for a couple months and tried to start the tangy tangerine and stuff again. It was still bothering me a little bit, so you suggested I stop and keep trying to heal the intestines. So I went back for another couple months, just doing the cherry berry with the calcium at night, which is wonderful to help me sleep because I've had
that's great stuff, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It's when I couldn't believe it, how well it works to just drink. And I still am not doing it with orange juice yet. I just do it in water, 2 ounces of the calcium at night with the mineral, an ounce of the mineral too, and it just works wonderful. So I did that, and so I am much better now. It's been 4 months that I've been on the cherry berry, and I totally recommend that to anybody that's having stomach issues. So now then I have started probably 2 or 3 weeks ago taking 1 scoop of the tangy tangerine. I'm doing that and all, and I've managed to do 1 scoop in the morning and 1 scoop later in the day I add my liquid minerals to that too. And so I'm just so excited that, I could finally start taking that, and I do feel so much more energy and just feeling really good. My only other question is I was taking the glucogel though, and I was trying to take, about 15 a day. And it seems like after a few days of that, my stomach started hurting. So I've stopped that.
Do you have a problem with shellfish?
Well, not that I know of.
All right. Well, yeah. Okay. All right. Then that's not a problem. So the basic rule of thumb here for you, it's a metaphor. I use it all the time. If you had a paper cut on your finger and you stuck that finger in a bowl of lemon juice, it would sting like a son of a gun. But if you didn't have a paper cut on your finger, you'd stick it in the lemon juice, nothing would happen. So when your intestinal tract is messed up and inflamed, and it's a problem, right, because you've been doing all the wrong stuff your entire life because you listen to the MDs.
Right.
Sometimes, like you already experienced with the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, you'll take a nutritional supplement that, if your stomach was healthy, there'd be no problem whatsoever, but you swallow it and there's a problem. And so as you are moving down the track here for the next 6 months, if you take anything new into your body supplement-wise and it gives you an aggravation, then you need to back off of that completely. Just, maintain the Heal the Gut program. Try to sneak up on a new supplement a little bit at a time, every 2-3 weeks, right? Add it back in, see how you do, and then back off, and then add it back in, see how you do, and back off. But this is such a good thing for you because, this is a testament to, number one, this stuff works. Number two, healing is a process. It's not an event. It will all come around for you eventually, maybe next week, maybe 3 months from now. I don't know. But I do know that eventually it's all going to come around, Brenda. Keep up the good work.
Yeah.
Regretfully, we're out of time. Give me a call back tomorrow, and you can tell me how the MDs hurt your husband. I would look forward to that. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in and turning on. I am your steadfast advocate for health. Live long and prosper. We'll see you next time.